Upgrade time. Copper shielding tape. This guitar can probably use it. If you buy copper shielding tape, you can get it all over the place. You can get it on Amazon and stuff pretty cheap. Just make sure you buy the stuff that has conductive adhesive. You want to make sure it says it has conductive adhesive, because then you can do stuff like this. You can overlap and not have any problems. It's going to work fine as long as it's touching. It's gonna make a circuit, and I will show you what I mean in a minute. I can show you here. We have my stupid cheapy little meter set to continuity, and if I touch here and then I touch a piece of plastic, I got nothing. We see it reads 1, but if I touch way over here, you can see now we're reading 0. So I have continuity. So even though this is 3 separate pieces of the aluminum tape, we still have continuity all the way across, and that's because of the conductive adhesive. So just make sure your copper foil tape has conductive adhesive, okay? Since I have played this guitar and these pickups don't sound bad, I really don't want to get too fiddly with any of this stuff, but I am going to solder these pickup covers on, because that is just a recipe for microphonics. So now I'm cleaning these pickups up. I'm basically using what amounts to synthetic steel wool. It's like 3,000 grit sanding pad. All right, we're gonna fill the little tuner holes with toothpicks. I have nipped the little point off. You'll get down closer if you nip it off. If I'm honest with you, this is a pretty unnecessary thing to do. It can be nice if you replace the tuners to see the old holes filled and not just open and gaping. And you know, whenever you can, use wood glue and not super glue. Super glue is a fine fix if your strap button falls out and you got a show, but if you can use wood glue instead of super glue, do it. Hell, if you must now, do it for no other reason than it's way easier to clean off. All right, now when those dry fully, I'll come back with a tiny little chisel and just trim the tips off the rest of the way. Okay, you guys, we got our tuners and our 3-way switch in the mail, and we are going to start with our new tuners today. I went with Hip Shots. I've been pretty pleased with Hip Shots. Let's see how far off our fit is. Pretty far off. So what we're gonna do is remount the holes, but before we do that, I forgot that I filled these holes last night, so I need to get a chisel and trim these holes. Get yourself a set of calipers. Figure out how wide your tuner bushing area is at its widest point. Mark my reamer. I'm going to mark this with tape. I don't know where my Sharpie is right now. Normally I just put a black mark on it with Sharpie. So what you want to do is kind of just take your calipers and figure out how far up they're going to slide. They're going to slide to there. So I'm going to put a piece of tape right there. And then what we need to do is ream this hole out down to that point. And you're going to do that from both sides. Be a little more careful on the front because you have finish. This should work just fine and not tear the finish up. And then you just try to fit your tuner, which this tuner is obviously for the other side. And you can see we're not quite there yet. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a drill bit of that size. So now we're just going to run our drill bit through the center. Okay, we're all done with that. And let's go ahead and do this the rest of the way. Not too much to putting in tuners. So you want to get these on sort of snug, but not completely yet, like just beyond finger tight, because you want them to be a little hard to slide around on the back, but not like sloppy jalopy sliding around on the back, because you're going to want to line them all up. If you have a real straight edge, you might want to use that, which I do, so why not use it? So we're going to keep those kind of lined up, and then we're going to take a tiny little drill bit, and we are going to pre-drill our holes. Not recommending you wing it. Done this a few times. There we go. This maple is hard, number one, because it's maple, but also it's old ass maple. So it's dry and probably even harder. So I would recommend highly that you use a little wax on your screws, or if you don't have wax around or whatever, you can use a bar of soap, and hopefully, you know, you have a bar of soap around. If you don't, hopefully you at least have some body wash around, but I wouldn't really use that. You basically just kind of want to lube them up at least a little bit. Okay, we've got all of our screws in. I cleaned off the excess wax, and now all that's left is we're gonna tighten up the nuts on the front. You don't want to crank these down like crazy tight, but you do want them to be snug because you don't want them to rattle on you when you're playing. That is that, my dudes. We have upgraded this thing to locking tuners, and now our tremolo should want to stay in tune. Now we're going to swap our switch. I got out my kind of more chicken shitty soldering iron. Don't want to fry anything. It's still kind of heating up, I think. Top, middle, bottom, ground. Don't move. Dremel tool, and I have some semi-chrome metal polish. I'm gonna smear it all around. Okay. Bridge is back together. I'm just taking a nylon brush to the little nylon rollers here. Don't poo-poo on these nylon bridges. They're actually not that horrible. Would I prefer that these saddles were metal? Yes. But nylon bridges are kind of neat. They have a sound of their own, and it's fun to try something different, and it's cool to have guitars that don't all sound the same. So dig it, man. And now what I'm going to do is just put like a tiny bit of 3-in-1 oil on all of this assembly. Just so you can see the 1 on the meter, see the 0 on the meter, 0 on the meter, 0 on the meter, 0 on the meter. We are connected no matter where we go. Well, here she is, except for the tremolo, which I'm still waiting to arrive from eBay. But again, so what we have here is a 1970s, I'm thinking in probably late 70s, like 75 maybe even later. I'm not real sure, can't tell because the actual serial number isn't there, but this is an Epiphone ET-275, which is like a Wilshire or a Crestwood. So yeah, we put on locking hip shot tuners. We adjusted the truss rod, polished up the brass nut. We polished all the frets in the fretboard. We put in a new 3-way switch to repair the pickups because the neck pickup wasn't working. We cleaned the bridge up. I put this tremolo cover back on. I don't like the way it looks, but what are you gonna do? Yes, the guitar has some scratches. We hid this little mark. It's a player. It's not a collector's instrument. You can see some scratches along the bottom, some marks, but overall it's in excellent condition. Here's how the back of our headstock looks. And all that's left, oh yeah, also we cleaned up the case, and just to make it nice, here are the original tuners and the original switch that we removed from the guitar, so that the next owner has everything. And all that's left is to demo this puppy.